Welcome to Indigenous Media Network News Bulletin. Today, the 26th of September 2021. First, the headlines. The Gambela Peoples Liberation Movement vow to follow and implement the government directives. The Gambela City Council held emergency session. For regional states and 2 administrative councils to hold session to form new governments next week. The Oromia Regional State appointed Shimeles Abdisa as Oromia Regional State President. News in details. Ethiopia. The Gambela Peoples Liberation Movement, in a statement today, warns anti-peace groups that target civilians and calls upon the public to render their support to the government in order to apprehend criminals and brought them to justice. The group that returned from exile following the Ethiopian reform was among political parties that participated at the controversial Ethiopian election in June this year. Despite the wide support from the public during the election campaign, the movement ended up with 13 candidates only, of which 6 candidates were determined by National Electoral Board of Ethiopia after long dispute. The Gambela Regional State has 156 regional seats and 3 House of Parliament constituencies. The movement in statement said, "We support and implement directives of the government," and further added, "We stand along the army, militias and special forces until the end of the law enforcement campaign." But distant itself from the Gambela Liberation Front, a movement blamed for recent indiscriminate killings of civilians in the Gambela town, including a 16-year-old boy and a young lady whose body was dismembered. The Gambela Peoples Liberation Movement along the Gambela National Democratic Party and the Gambela Peoples Liberation for Peace, Justice and Democratic Movement are on the Joint Political Parties Council of the Gambela Regional State. Although the movement mentioned the suffering of civilians in Benishangul Gumuz, Afar and Amhara regions and other areas, it shied away from condemning gross atrocities in Tigray. The U.S., after issuing an executive order to sanction those responsible for the Tigray conflict, is considering to describe atrocities in northern region as genocide under international law. On another development, the Gambela City Council held emergency session and vowed to combat forces attempting to derail the progress so far. On the session, the council stated that the city in the past 3 years received more than 221 million Ethiopian birr from the World Bank towards the city infrastructure development. But Gambela City physical infrastructure remains in bad shape due to endemic corruption and budget mismanagement. Various physical projects remain stranded because of lack of budget. The City Council approved 79 million Ethiopian birr for 2014 Ethiopian calendar fiscal year. On another development, the Oromia Regional State Council held its session on Saturday the 25th of September 2021 and appointed Shimeles Abdisa as president of the regional state. The Oromia president in acceptance speech said, "I am appointed in a new role to benefit and serve the interest of the Oromo people in social, economic and political spheres," and added, "to end corruption and improve good governance." Next week, 4 regional states, the Gambela, Sidama, SNNP and Amhara, in addition to Dir Dawa Administrative Council and Addis Ababa Administrative Council, will hold sessions to form respective governments. According to the timetable, the Gambela, Sidama, Southern Nations, Nationalities and Peoples and Amhara will hold session on the 30th of September 2021, whereas Addis Ababa and Dir Dawa will hold their respective sessions on the 28th of September and the 1st of October 2021. Thanks for listening. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news and updates. Join us again in our next news bulletin.